this video is for BrentRadio. This is your NetDimm. That's the serial number. Okay, so when you get it, it'll be the same one. So I didn't do any swap on you. It says firmware version 2.06. You could remove that sticker if you want when you get it. It's actually firmware 4.02, which is the latest. So what I'll do is stick this in my Naomi setup, which I have here, and we'll get this running. So I'll put this down for a second while I do it. Okay, there it is, installed into the Naomi. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and power on my cab. So this is my Capcom Big Blue cab that we're testing it in. The Naomi takes a bit to boot up. While that's loading up, let me go ahead and edit transfergame.exe. so that you can see what's going on here. Okay, let me change the IP address because I have this one set to an IP address with a suffix of 7. So the first game I'm going to load up is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Okay, so it's booted up. As you can see, it's checking network. So what I'll do in transfer game is just send the game over, and it'll start loading it right away. Here you go. Okay, when you have a NetDimm, this first step where the game is loading has to be done every time. So even if you have a battery in the NetDimm, you're only losing one step, because every time you're only losing this loading step, which takes about 30 seconds, because every time a NetDimm boots up, it has to validate what's in the memory anyway. And when it's verifying the memory, it's the next step after this is done loading. So we'll see this being done really shortly. This is a step that has to be done every time. But even if you have a battery in it, that step gets skipped, that one that just scrambled over. And this next step occurs every time, which is it verifying the memory in the NetDimm. There it is, it's checking the memory. When it gets to 100%, it'll reboot one last time and boot into the game. I have the sound turned off on my cab because it's a Q sound cab and it's loud and deafening. While that's loading, while the game's loading, I'm gonna get ready to load the next game in. So I'll load in CVS 2 next after Marvel loads up, so you can see what's going on. Here we go, Marvel's loading up. Here you go. Pretty cool. So I think you said you were getting a Raspberry Pi somewhere and you were going to do this. I wouldn't even bother. Just go through the hassle and run a network cable to your cab if you can. Save yourself the expense. As you can see, it's not too much trouble. You could send this from your phone. Some guy made an app for it. You can do it from your laptop, but it's all pretty easy, man. Don't waste too much money unless you're gonna build that Raspberry Pi NetBooter thing yourself. Okay, so that's Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And while the NetDimm is connected to the network, anytime you execute transfergame.exe, it'll load a new game onto the NetDimm. So let's let this demo run a little bit. There you go, and I'll go ahead and send a Capcom vs. SNK2 to it. So there it goes. The NetDimm detects it, and now it's going to load it up. It's done loading, as you can see. Now it's going to check the memory. One other thing is my network gateway starts with 192.168.1, and then the IP that I set for this NetDimm is 0.7. I don't know what your gateway is going to be, but when you get this, what you want to do is set the IP address to whatever it is for your network. Alright, now it's going to boot into CVS2. And I'm using Marvel vs. Capcom and CVS2 because those are the two killer apps on the Naomi. Of course, you can load any game that you want. There you go. It's loading Capcom vs. SNK2. And there you go. There's Capcom vs. SNK2.